JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. This is the beginning of our new studio, blank wall for starters. Let's get into an update of where we are with the stimulus, the second round of stimulus, the week that includes Labor Day. Here's what I think we can expect. So after September 11th, when we have our live drawing for $1,000 for buying this book, go to Amazon.com, send me the receipt at jj@jjthecpa.com. We'll put your name in a drawing on September 11th during my live show here on YouTube before or between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I'll be drawing a name out of the hat to give away $1,000 cash. So, with that being said, what are we looking at this week? The week of Labor Day, the Senate is to be returning from recess. The following week, the House is to return from recess. There really is nothing new. There is this report that the president found $300 billion for stimulus checks. Well, the $300 billion is the leftovers from the original CARES Act. Probably $100 billion of that, for starters, is the PPP that was not used out of the original CARES Act. What this is just a recognition of what everybody knows and indicating from the White House, why don't we get after doing some stimulus checks? Because there is this $300 billion. This does not mean that Trump found $300 billion that then he can give out as stimulus checks. Still have to go through all the negotiations that we're expecting. And what that includes is the Republicans and the Democrats finding a compromise. Where we are right now, the Republicans are saying they'll go with the skinny bill, which is around $1.2 trillion. The Democrats, the House, is indicating that they will not go below $2.2 trillion. So with the meeting in the middle, once upon a time was $500 billion, now is back down to about $1 trillion difference. Big area of difference is how much should be paid out in unemployment benefits per week. Previously it was $600. The Senate, Republicans, if you will, are saying $200 a week. The Democrats are saying $400 a week. It'll probably come in at $300 a week. Nothing new there. On the PPP, it seems that everybody's in agreement that PPP should be paid out. It'll have a qualifier. Been talking about this same thing for weeks now. And then as it relates to the EIDL grant, I'm sure that will receive some additional funding. When we're looking at the aspect of the stimulus checks, it is going to happen. Just makes sense. Everybody's in agreement on these things. The big area of disagreement is how much will be paid out in the next stimulus to schools and to the states. Schools are supported by typically the states and or real estate taxes, that is. And states are reliant on their own state taxes. So at the end of the day, what's holding this all up, in my opinion, is the aid to the entities or the organizations and or governmental entities that have funding from other sources. Why are they struggling? Why do they need money? I don't know. So at the end of the day, here's what you need to be doing this week. Senate's coming back in. House is getting ready to come back in. In the body of this is a link to the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. You'll be able to find who your senator is, who your congressperson is, a phone call, a tweet, a letter. Cindy has said a fax works really well, stands out. What is it that you need? Let them know. Tell them that You need relief, you need stimulus, you need something. They need to do it now. You know, one phone call is probably worth 7 to 1,000 to a senator or a congressional office, meaning one person calling, one person taking the time, one person taking the time to fax, one person taking the time to email has to statistically represent 1,000 people that feel the same way, if not more. We got elections coming up. I think it's okay to just say, we will be following that. If you're calling your senator's office, your congressperson's office, just say, please pass along to the senator that I will be watching what they are voting on related to the stimulus and how fast they pass the stimulus to determine if I vote for them again. Just let them know. They're going to say, thank you very much. You're going to talk to somebody that's either volunteering or making very little money, so you don't need to be rude to them. It's not their fault. You don't need to tell them your story. You just need to tell them that. Pass it along. Tweet about it. Put it in Facebook. Probably best to not include cartoons and things that are politically joking around, political humor. I think if it's plain Jane, not including pictures, not a rant, not a personal story per se, okay, not whining. That's what I think we need to be doing this week, because there's not jack squat going on. I've gotten better about my blood not boiling when I see others, mostly really on YouTube. If you go to Google, you're not finding all the malarkey that you find here on YouTube of people doing clickbait, which I hope that they get there somehow. I don't know how they would get there. So I'm not wishing ill will on them other than shame on them. Shame on them. Just know this. Google it. Go read Forbes magazine. Read CNBC. These are business publications. I'm a little bit of a broken record here. A couple of weeks ago, if you saw, I had a coach's video. You need to act. And it was related to everybody having an emergency over the United States Postal Service. $25 billion. We're going into disaster mode. And then when you hear that, it's like, oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. How are we not going into disaster mode? How are we not going into disaster mode? There's going to be a rubber band effect. It's just getting stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched. And then what finally happens? There's a snapback. So I've talked before, I think this will be the last round of stimulus that the American people can rely on. It's going to be the last round of stimulus that the small business will be able to rely on, that you need to get ready for 2021. You need to not be soft. You need to start right now thinking through some of the hard decisions you're probably going to have to make. You need to be looking around. I've had videos talking about looking in a 1 mile radius. What's going on? Is there in your neck of the woods businesses that are closing, for rent signs that are going up? What's going on with your customers? What's going on with your vendors? Be aware of who you're spending money with in terms of a vendor. Are they still going to be around? Beware of who you're providing services or selling products to. Is your customer going to be around? I know we got an election coming up, and it's shocking to me that we don't have anything in play. You'd think right now that the senators and Congress people would just be handing out stimulus like candy, like jelly beans on proverbial Easter. 1 for you, 3 for you, 2 for you. Oh, you back there, you need another one? Here you go. So I'm not sure what the deal is right now. So remember when you go to vote. Remember when you go to vote. Pay attention to what the person is doing that is representing you in DC, and let them know. Everybody talks about that their vote counts, Well, of course it does. But our vote and voice, I should say, doesn't count every 2 years when we're voting for a congressperson. Doesn't count every 6 when we're voting for a senator. It doesn't count every 4. It's not like we get a voice one time in the 1 second it takes to mark our ballot. That's the only time. That's not the only time we have a voice. So let's remember that. So spread the word. Tweet, tag, call, fax, do something, because there's not anything going on. Yes, there's going to be something going on in the sense of the next couple of weeks, we're going to probably get some stimulus. There's going to be a lot of people left out in the cold, and then it'll be too late. It will then be too late, because once the stimulus is voted upon and it is then given out, they're not going to go back to the drawing board. There's going to be an election and a whole new congressional, whatever you want to call it, coming into play. Not till January 20th. That's a long time between whenever this stimulus that most likely has to come out and January 20th, which then everybody's still figuring out what office they're in and what their new extension is and whether or not there's now a new president in the office or new control, right? So it's not like January 20th, all of a sudden, oh, good, here's now a bunch of relief. Most of the time, especially if there's a presidential change, you're talking, 100 days before anything really happens. I think I've done really good here. For those of you that watch, I think I've done really good here keeping my cool. All right, hey, so just a personal note for those that are till here. I know you're a subscriber. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you. If you've made it to here and you're not a subscriber, I hope that you do. Right here, I told you that this is the start of the new studio. No, it won't be a blank wall. I'm just saying we're starting with a blank wall. I just threw this up here. So I have a new background. It's carpeted, so there'll be less echoing, so to speak. Good lighting. So we plan to work towards that. Then after the September 11th live show, as I told you about here, where we give away $1,000, we're also going to have a very special announcement to help one of our hardcore family members of the JJ the CPA YouTube channel family. So we're going to have a really big announcement, and it'll be on September 11th, right after we draw for the $1,000, and there'll be a way for you to help one of the businesses that are massively affected as it relates to COVID and what's going on. Be a way for you to contribute, and I don't mean charitably, but contributing your support to a small business that has been shut down. Somebody that has served our country. So be prepared for that. Be ready to help. It'll be in the smallest way you could ever imagine. And it's not a donation to B4B Cares, the foundation that I set up with Tony. It's not a donation. It's not a contribution. And it's going to be a major announcement that you don't want to miss on that live September 11. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. Get ready. Do what I was indicating here. Do what I was suggesting. Take a little bit of time. Let's go. All right. Hey, don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. Have a great day.